Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan features two radio professionals with over 100 years of broadcasting experience between them. Dave Hogan and Randy Houston are both native Western North Carolinians whose rich voices have been heard in every glade, cove, and holler of Western North Carolina and East Tennessee, primarily on AM radio. And between the two of them, they've worked in just about every radio format. As you can imagine, these guys have tons of stories about the day-to-day of live radio and the interactions they've had with listeners and entertainers while they were immersed in, at the time, one of the most influential and informative mediums available. Those experiences will be featured in this podcast series. Check the subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts with Randy and Dave on Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan.
Welcome back, friends, to Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan. I'm Randy Houston.
And this is Dave Hogan.
Howdy, friends, and welcome into a friendly discussion between two old broadcasters who love to talk about radio and our experiences with over 100 years of broadcast experience here in Western North Carolina and East Tennessee. Dave, we wanted to talk about the phenomenon of Dolly Parton today on our podcast.
And coincidentally, when we started discussing the idea of talking about Dolly, the news came across one of my notifications that I got, says Dionne Warwick and Dolly Parton are doing a duet together. And you know, their relationship goes back quite a long ways because Dionne Warwick's cousin, Whitney Houston, recorded Dolly's song, I Will Always Love You, and it was a tremendous smash. So Dionne and Dolly have been friends for a long time. Two living legends have a special collaboration in the works. According to Dionne Warwick, she and country icon Dolly Parton will be releasing a brand new single real soon. Warwick broke the news during an appearance on the Tamron Hall show. The famed singer said Parton, who she called such a sweetheart, originally sent her a song she wanted Warwick to record. Then she sent me another song, the one that we're going to record as a duet, and it's a gospel song, and it's called Peace Like a River. There's an old gospel song, Peace Like a River, but this is a new song with that title written by Dolly Parton.
Okay. Oh, man.
I'm excited about getting that.
I am too.
Yeah, I wish I was back on the radio. I could play it. You can, though, because you're still in the business and I'm retired. Now, speaking of Dolly, what a fabulous person and what a fabulous career this lady has had. Now, I can't claim to be a friend of Dolly, but our paths have crossed several times. And I want you to look at this photo right here and guess the year that was made.
Oh, my gosh. Let's go 1971.
I think it was 73.
I got close.
Now, what tipped you off? The leisure suit?
You, yeah. Just the look, your look from that day, because
tell the listeners who's in the picture.
It's Dolly and you. It's you and Dolly. And man, you were in a leisure suit with the wide lapels and the collar. That's cool, man. But that's the way Dave Hogan looked when I was looking up to Dave Hogan on WSKY when you were probably playing Dolly's early music and promoting her at a concert, were you?
This was made in Nashville at the Disc Jockey Convention, and I had an opportunity to interview Dolly on two occasions. On this occasion, when this picture was made, I sat down with Dolly maybe for an hour, long interview, and then our paths crossed again in 2005 at Dollywood, and I did a short interview with her then, and she gave me this.
This is a Dollywood Platinum Season Pass for Dave Hogan.
A 20-year pass to Dollywood.
It's amazing.
Which in 2005, Dolly had a 20-year celebration of Dollywood. 2005 was the 20th year, and she invited some DJs down to Dollywood, and I was fortunate to be amongst them. And she gave us a pass for 20 years to celebrate the 20th year of Dollywood. So this pass will run out in 2005. So I've got
2 more years.
I got a couple more years on that 20-year pass.
Let's go to Dollywood. I'm going to go with you.
So like I said, I can't claim I'm a friend of Dolly's, but I really feel like one, and so many other people do. People who've never met Dolly feel like Dolly is her friend, and she really is. And people have asked me, and I'm sure they've asked you, who is the person you admire most of the people that you've met in the entertainment business? Dolly would be number one.
Me too.
And if Dolly walked into your house, I don't care where you are, who you are, she would be the same Dolly that you see on TV. She'd be the same person. She's just, what you see is what you get with Dolly Parton.
Had the privilege of introducing her on stage at the Asheville Civic Center once, and she held a press conference prior, and it was just a room with 4 or 5 of us guys and gals in there, and her talking about being so close to home. I know that, and she put on a great show. The one thing that shocked me, and it always does about entertainers, when you get close to them, how short they are, because in my mind, they're always 8 feet tall, you know, and when you finally meet someone, but Dolly is a really short little lady.
Well, I'm not a very tall guy, but you can see in this picture with Dolly and me together, and I'm like 5'9", 5'10", and I'm a head taller than Dolly almost.
And she's got a lot of hair up there, too, that's a little deceiving on
well,
top.
I'll tell you a little secret here. We both have hair, but neither one of them are real.
Yeah, and Dolly's got her hair teased up. I heard her make a joke about
Not
that.
Not her hair, it's a wig.
I heard her make a joke about that one time, about teasing that hair up high on your head. The women in the church did. It's because the higher the hair, the closer to Jesus. That's Dolly.
You know, there's a Western North Carolina music connection to Dolly Parton that I want to mention. Bill Phillips. Tater was his nickname from Haywood County. Bill and I were close, very close friends. Bill's big hit record, I think it was 1971. Put It Off Until Tomorrow. No. Let's back up. It was about 1966 when Put It Off Until Tomorrow became a top 10 hit in country music. And an unknown, except to people in East Tennessee, an unknown singing harmony with Bill Phillips was Dolly Parton.
Well, how about that?
And the first time I think I heard about Dolly Parton, of course, she had appeared on Kaz Walker's program and shows in and around Knoxville, but I wasn't privy to them. Didn't know Dolly, and Bill Phillips said, "There's a young lady singing with me on this recording. Her name is Dolly Parton, and she's going to be a big star." That was about 66.
I started to say that was early on.
Yeah. Put It Off Until Tomorrow. You've hurt me enough today. Big hit.
Boy, I grew up, there were about 3 or 4 television shows that came into the house on the weekends. You know, that 3 channels we could get. One of the 3 was WBTV, Channel 3 in Charlotte, and they brought us the Arthur Smith Show. They brought us the Wilburn Brothers Show, and they brought us the Porter Wagoner Show. And all through the years, we watched the Porter Wagoner Show, and we watched the different, as they called them in the day, girl singers. Mm-hmm. Norma Jean was one of the girl singers that came on the Porter Wagoner Show.
Preceded Dolly.
and we watched as they paired together and sang duets together on the show. But then Dolly became the girl singer on the Porter Wagoner show. And everything moved up a notch, brother.
And, you know, I had an interview, and I wish I had saved it. I look back, and I think of all the music stars that I've had the pleasure to talk to, and I wish I had saved those interviews. But at the time you do them, you don't think of that, or I didn't.
Same here.
But I interviewed Porter Wagoner about 2 months, I guess, after she and Dolly broke up, so to speak. And I use the term broke up because they did break up. It was a very sad occasion when Dolly told Porter that she was going out on her own. She felt it was time to go out on her own. And Porter was crushed because he gave her big break by putting her on the show. And when I interviewed Porter, he was, to be honest about it, he was very bitter towards Dolly. But who can stay mad at Dolly forever? Nobody. And so Porter and Dolly later made up. And a lot of people may not know this, but Dolly wrote, "I Will Always Love You" for Porter Wagoner
as her parting, and had a hit on the song. He said he agreed to the disbanding of their union. "If you'll let me produce this song, I will always love you." That's what she took to him, and on the day they wanted to go apart, and he said, "Okay, I'll do it, but you got to let me produce this song." And they produced a big hit song for Dolly. But
and then later on, Whitney Houston. Whew.
Dolly calls it.
What a hit that was. And, you know, people will say to Dolly, maybe not so much now, but back when that was a hit for Whitney Houston, they'd say, "Does it make you feel bad when Whitney Houston is getting credit for that song?" And Dolly would say, "I don't mind her getting credit for it as long as I get the cash." Let's talk about what Dolly's done with her cash.
Let's do, because such a philanthropist. Man, it may take us the rest of this and 10 other podcasts just to bring to light a little bit of the things that she does for our nation and our world. She is
the first thing
amazing
is what she's done for her community in Sevier County, Tennessee. She made it a point when she opened Dollywood, I've heard her say this, to hire local people to Dollywood, as many local people as possible. Friends of hers, family. She put a lot of the family to work, big family. And of course, all the people in and around Sevier County that she could possibly hire to work at Dollywood. That's where her charity started, in a big way.
At Dollywood. Then things came along, and Dollywood is flourishing. I mean, these many years later, that place is growing like crazy. People come from far away lands to visit Dollywood. And along with another one of her initiatives for the local community was called the Imagination Library. Tell us about that, Dave.
Well, the Imagination Library is a name that Dolly used for putting books into the hands of children. I'm not sure exactly how the Imagination Library worked, but at no cost, any kid could get books through her Imagination Library. Absolutely free. So a lot of books went into the hands of kids, and still do, who come from families that wouldn't have the resources to go out and buy books for their kids. And that's just one of the many programs that Dolly has started and donated to. She donated a tremendous amount of money to Vanderbilt University to study COVID.
And it led to the development of the Moderna vaccine for COVID.
Which I have some right here.
I do too. 2 or 3 shots of it. And Dolly, oh gosh, it goes on and on. Let's talk about that. Imagination Library started in the local community of Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, but it is spread nationwide. She going back to the local community when the tragic fires devastated the Great Smoky Mountains National Park near Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and people lost their lives. A lot of people lost their homes. Dolly just opened up the checkbook, and if I'm not mistaken, she gave every homeowner, every person that lost their home, a check for $10,000.
She did. You're right. The Imagination Library, 1 in 10 children under the age of 5 in the United States has received Imagination Library books from Dolly's Imagination Library. And the total number of books, listen to this figure, the total number of books gifted to date by Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, 197,460,315.
That's phenomenal.
197 plus million books. Now, the number of individual kids, 2,212,343. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library is dedicated to inspiring a love of reading by gifting books free of charge to children from birth to age 5 through funding shared by Dolly Parton and community partners, not only in the United States, but also Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and the Republic of Ireland.
Imagination Library. She's just an incredible phenomenon. All the while she's doing these philanthropic efforts, she is selling 100 million records. 100 million records.
And Dolly is, I don't know, she's getting close to Dave Hogan's age. She's not far behind me.
Right.
And believe you me, I've got a few years behind me, and Dolly isn't far behind, but she's still as active as ever, still sounds as good as ever.
Yes.
Still writes. Like I mentioned, she's written that song for Dionne Warwick. So she's still very productive. She says, when I was growing up in the hills of East Tennessee, I knew my dreams would come true. I know there are children in your community with their own dreams. They dream of becoming a doctor or an inventor or a minister. Who knows? Maybe there's a little girl whose dream is to be a writer and a singer. The seeds of these dreams are often found in books, and the seeds you help plant in your community can grow across the world. That's a quote from Dolly Parton.
She's a world treasure, and we just wanted to make sure you know that from Dave and Randy here on Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan. Thank y'all so much for joining us and for downloading our podcast. We'll be back in a little while with another topic on Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan.
Goodbye, everybody.
Be sure to click the subscribe button for another episode of Hot Mic